Hi, this is Roland Jean Charles from PMI JCM Realty Group, where we manage properties from an asset management perspective. So today what I want to talk to you about is where do you find good deals in the market without overpaying? Right now, the current market, the current situation, particularly in Tampa, the metro area, um, the inventory is low, right? There nowhere can you go to find properties where you're going to get good deals, great deals. Everything is really expensive, and it's really a seller's market right now. So finding a good deal as an investor is not an easy thing to do. That's whether you're buying a multifamily property or if you're buying a single family. Now, there are some opportunities high end homes, homes that are 50, $500,000 or more, right? But those are not great rental properties um, unless they are multifamily, right? Because the rule of thumb is you should be able to rent a property for 1% of what the ARV is. And if a property is valued at $500,000, you would expect to get $5,000 in rent. Now, getting $5,000 in rent is not always easy. That's not your bread and butter, right? Your typical rents, are going to be average between 1,000 and on the high end 3,000, right? That's what the blue collar, everyday person is going to be able to afford generally, right? And if they can afford $5,000 in rent, generally they'll buy a house or something like that, right? So your sweet spot is anywhere from 1,000 to $3,000. So you would expect that um, that the value of your homes would be 100,000 to $300,000, right? And so this is strictly for investors who are using the buy and hold strategy, right? So today, what we're going to talk about a little bit is where do we find these deals? Like, how do I go about finding great deals, good deals in the market without overspending, right? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to get into that a little bit, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through a few tips that you can use to identify good deals in the market today. And it can happen, you can do it in any market, right? Whether it's an up cycle or down cycle, you can use these tips to help you find good deals in the market. And so right now, right, as I stated earlier, it is difficult for you to find properties at a reasonable price, right? Because it's a seller market in the Tampa Bay metropolitan area, right? And I'm sure that's the same thing for properties or uh, for realtors and investors throughout the country, right? And so one of the first things that you can do is tap into your network. And so if you do not have a network, that's one of the critical steps that you're missing in your property man in your investment strategy, right? You need to make sure you have real estate agents you work with. You need to make sure you have property managers you work with. You need to make sure you have mortgage brokers, attorneys. You need to make sure you have a team, right? And if you don't have that team, and even if you do have that team, you need to also network with the Chamber of Commerce. You need to join groups like BNI. You need to join groups like BMI. In Tampa, you have CABA, which is Carrollwood Area Business Association. That's a great place for you to join, right? You also have the Uptown Chamber of Commerce, right, which is a great chamber to join. You have BMI Tampa, which is a great place to join. These are all great networking organizations where you can network with individuals who are business owners, and they may have um, insight into properties that are not on the market, but their friend may be selling, or they may know someone that's going to be selling a property sometime soon, right? So tap into your market, make sure that you reach out to them, make sure that they know that you're looking to grow with your portfolio, and you'll be leaps and bounds above the other real estate investors. Don't forget to tap into your RIAs. And you have Tampa Bay RIA and TB RIA, which are two great RIAs within the Tampa area. You also have NARPM, right? The National Association of Residential property managers. The Tampa area chapter is a great chapter. So make sure you tap into those groups, because those groups are definitely going to be able to help you find great deals, deals that are off the market, to really increase your portfolio if that's what you're looking to do. Then the next tip that I want to give you is, don't be afraid of the MLS, right? As an investor, you do not have direct access to the MLS. And I wrote an article about how to tap into that. And you can click on that hyperlink in this article to get to um, that article. If you're listening to this and you don't have the article in front of you, if you go to my blog and you search for MLS, if you go to my website, www.pmijcmrealty.com, and you click on my blog and you search for MLS, you'll see the article that gives you some tips on how to tap into and utilize MLS, even if you're not an investor. But don't be afraid of the MLS, right? While real estate agents tend to put deals on the MLS that sellers are selling probably at a higher price point, right? You can find deals, handyman specials on the MLS as well. So don't be afraid to tap into your real estate um, agent to search for good deals on the MLS, right? Always look for handyman specials and key terms like that, because they will let you know that the property needs work. And if the property needs work, then you can get it at a discount, right? So do not be afraid of the MLS. Make sure you tap into that resource as well, because that may be an area where you can get a great deal. The next, don't be afraid to get in your car and drive, right? Um, when you are prospecting an area, right, and you want to find good deals, driving through neighborhoods may be some of the best ways where you can find good deals, right? So if you're farming a particular area, a particular market, looking at finding a house that's in not as good a condition as every other home in the area gives you an insight that that house is not being maintained, someone's not taking care of it, and you may be able, with a little bit of legwork, a little bit of research, you may be able to find the owner, speak to that owner, and then put a deal together that would benefit both you and the owner, right? So make sure that you take that opportunity whenever you can, to drive around to your farming areas and prospect those areas and try to identify deals that way, right? For me, as a property manager, whenever I'm driving through a neighborhood, I look for signs of for sale by owner, for rent by owner, and I also look for properties that I think are, gems, diamonds in the rough, right? So make sure that you don't overlook the opportunity to find properties while you're driving around in your farming area. Then you have the next tip I'm going to tell you is to look at your foreclosure and pre-foreclosures, right? These are great opportunities to get properties before they go on the selling block in REO by the bank, right? Because if you can strike up a deal with the owner to buy the property before the property goes into foreclosure, you may be saving them the headache of ruining their credit, and you also will be able to get a good deal, particularly if the property has a bunch of equity in it, right? And so in lieu of the owner, not getting as much money as they would have if they sold the property outright to someone that would live in the property retail, selling it to you as an investor, they may be getting a little bit of a discount. They're not getting as much of a return, but they're able to save their credit because they're not able to pay their mortgage, right? And they're in pre-foreclosure. It puts them in a position where you're able to both help them and get a good deal at the same time. Now, there's a little bit of legwork that needs to go into pre-foreclosures. There are companies out there that do sell lists. There's a company actually in our Tampa Bay area, that sells lists. I don't recall the name at this particular time, but you can always go online and search for companies that do sell these pre-foreclosure lists, particularly in the Tampa area, and you can then reach out to those owners. Now, it's not easy getting in contact with someone that's having issues and then convincing them to work with you is not easy, right? And there's a whole lot of fraud and a lot of things that go on that investors do that are bad. But if you are one of those investors that have a good moral compass and you're really out there to help the homeowner, is definitely a way that you can put some good deals together, help the neighborhood, help the homeowner get a good deal, right? And so there's a lot of benefits to it, but you just got to make sure you do everything right. There's a lot of legwork to it. You're going to have to do a little bit more research on the foreclosures and pre-foreclosures to make sure you know who owns the property, make sure you understand where they are in terms of what they owe. And then, your strategy for executing on that, right? The topic that I'm talking about here today, I'm not going to really dive into, pre-foreclosures and how to do those right. Maybe that's an article that I'll write later on, but there's a certain way that you can do pre-foreclosures to make sure that both you, the owner, um, the bank, benefits, right? And there are ways that it can be done where, everyone ends up on a bad end, right? And we don't want that, right? Because it ruins the reputations for real estate investors, and it makes it harder for us to put creative deals together, right? So this is not the primary topic of what I wanted to discuss today, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. I'll write another article maybe sometime in the future to discuss foreclosures and pre-foreclosures and how to do those properties, but properly. But the point that I'm trying to make here today is that take a look at those as an avenue for you to potentially find great deals during the times where it's harder to find good deals, right, in those seller markets, right? Um, then, you can buy homes from other rental property owners, right? So there are instances where rental property owners don't want to keep their rent. They don't want to be landlords anymore. They're tired of dealing with the tenant. They're tired of dealing with the maintenance. I mean, there's so many things that you need to do when you are a landlord that it can become cumbersome, particularly if you're dealing with an older home that needs a lot of attention, right? That needs that white glove service. And sometimes people just want to sell those portfolios. That's why being a part of NARPM and networking with real estate agents would be a good avenue, right? To inform you of those properties that may not be on the market, but they know that there are issues and people want to get rid of those properties, right? So reaching out to other rental property owners, right, other landlords, and seeing if they have an interest in selling their property is a great way to find good deals as well. The last tip that I'm going to give it to you is to work with a rental property management partner, right? Me as a property management company, PMI JCM Realty Group, we are often working with investors to find them deals. I had an investor recently that told me that they wanted a multifamily property, and then me working with other real estate companies that I work with, other brokerages, something came across my desk, a 12.5, a 12 unit property for 1.5 mil. I was like, wow. So I immediately told my potential owner, I got all the agreements signed, and now I'm working and trying to get that deal closed. And of course, at the end of that deal, I'm going to end up trying to manage, I'm going to end up managing the property. So it's a win for the investor. It's a win for the seller. It's a win for the broker, and it's a win for me as well. So don't hesitate to work with property management companies, because that is the primary area that we deal in. Buy and hold investments. We have our finger on the pulse of what's happening in that particular market of real estate, and we can definitely help you find properties if you are trying to build your portfolio. So reach out to me. If not me, you can reach out to other rental property managers, and they'll be able to help you identify good portfolios for you to sell. Who knows? We may have an investor who's trying to sell a portfolio, and we may be able to get something structured to get that property sold to you, right? And so there are many different ways you can do it, but these tips I think will help you find great deals in good markets, and it will help definitely when you have a situation like what we have now, where you have a seller's market and everything right now is overpriced, right? And everything is very expensive, and it's hard to make a return on your investment when you're buying things at such a high cost, right? An investor told me one time, a long time ago, and I still believe it to this day, right? You make your money when you buy. you get paid when you sell, right? So if you don't buy right, you're not making your money. So you got to make your money when you buy, right? And then you cash out and you get paid when you sell. If you keep that motto in the back of your head, you'll always be able to get great deals moving forward. Because it's our priority to keep you informed on the latest property best practices in the Tampa metro area, you're invited to sign up for our free webinar. We'll discuss how to streamline your rental portfolio for maximum growth. It's a great conversation about investment growth that you won't want to miss. You can join the conversation as well with like-minded property owners in our Facebook group. We discuss suggestions and connect with savvy rental property investors to make more operational insights ongoing. And when you need specific advice tailored to your rental property investment strategy, add a meeting on my calendar and let's connect. I'm always looking to work with real estate investors, just even if they just want information. I was talking to an investor yesterday and I told them, hey, even if you don't hire me as your property manager, use me as a resource, have a blog with a bunch of articles that tells you how to do certain things, how to streamline your property management services, how to get a better return on your investment, how to avoid the chaos and the issues that come with dealing with tenants sometimes. And you can reach out to me, put a meeting on my calendar. I'm always willing to help. I'm always willing to talk to new investors, seasoned investors, just to discuss the property management market in my area and see how I can help you move forward, even if I'm not your property manager. Again, this is Roland Jean Charles from PMI JCM Realty Group. You can reach me at rcharles at PMI JCM Realty Group. So that's R Charles, common spelling. You can also reach me by phone at 813-333-9617. Again, that's 813-333-9617. And you can reach me on my website, www.pmijcmrealty.com. Thank you and have a great day.